Welcome to another episode of Read the Room here in wonderful Virginia. How are you?
Well, um, what can I say? It's that time of year. The weather's crisping. I get married in under 2 weeks. I'm living my best life. Next
Nice.
next Saturday is the big
The
plunge.
nuptials?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not that big of a plunge since I've already been in the pool for so
Right.
long. Like I'm already married in my head, so
Did
uh
you have a starter marriage like Mindy and I did? Because we love our second marriage was our best decision.
yeah. Surprisingly, no.
Aha.
Surprisingly, and don't ask me how I did this. I managed to not knock up any women.
Good.
I managed
Same
to
here.
get married because I just knew I wasn't ready.
Yeah. And
And
you're 40, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and so I didn't get married the first time until I was 34 because I was not ready, not interested, nine dunka, niet non domini, no thank you, right?
I was plain selfish, you know? I could barely take care of myself as opposed to a wife and kids, and with what I was raised to be as a man and what I wanted, I know the type of work that is, and
Right.
I wasn't willing to put that in. Let's be honest. I was still having fun, gallivanting and playing, Keanu Reeves, just, womanizing, and when you've got a baby face like mine, you can do it a little bit longer than maybe some of your cohorts, yeah,
Right.
uh, but it took finding the right one and knowing who I am, knowing my values. Like my values shifted from obviously 20s to 30s, 30s to 40s. Um, you value different things. You're not
Mm,
as worried about what other people think. You're not worried about how your old friend base perceives you. Like you know who your friends are, you know who they're not. And um loneliness can be a motherfucker, and that's why most people take the plunge because they can't handle being alone. Me, on the other hand, I love me, so I have no
Hey,
problem
you're
with it.
your best friend.
Yeah,
You and, shall I say it in a salacious way? Your right hand,
my
unless
right
you're
hand.
left-handed, you know,
Yep.
you never know, right? No, I again, I was like, I know what I wanna do, but I'm not ready to do it, and I wasn't satisfied with what I was doing and building in terms of a career. I knew I was gonna transition to, different things, went to work for the Bush administration away from the private sector, and then it bit me in the butt, and I went, "Aha, this is what I'm gonna do." And so in '93 is when it happened, and '92 is when I started the company. So,
So
yeah, no, I'm totally with you.
and, it's like they say Martha Washington, "Behind every good man is a good woman," and I believe that, it's relationships aren't a perfect thing, but you work at them, and if you're lucky enough to get somebody who's supportive of who you are, like
Right.
exactly who you are, not having to change, knowing your faults, accepting them, and wanting to, I don't want to say be a kingmaker, but just motivate you and push you in the right direction.
Yeah,
That,
well, mine's right there.
yep.
One of my favorite pictures of Mindy and I celebrating our, anniversary in Austin, Texas, just a few years ago.
Queen Mindy,
Prior to the beard, which is a COVID beard, again, that she will not let me shave off.
because it's a
And
good look.
so I acquiesce to my better half.
You
Thank
like the beard too, don't lie. I
Well, I
would.
do now. Before, I was just like, "Oh, it's COVID. I'm staying here on the farm. I'm doing, Zoom, crap and all that kinda stuff." What's
Like,
up, Don Juan? You got married at 37, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was that long. Can you hear me okay?
We can't.
other than your raspy voice, dude, what's going on? You yelling at the TV again?
No, I'm trying some new audio. Let me go out and come back in again.
All
Hold
right,
on.
you do that. No problem. Well, good. Well, congratulations. Where are the nuptials being held, if I may be so bold?
Yep, at the Riri Manor on property, doing it right here.
Right.
It all themed out, everything. It's gonna be a beautiful day. We'll just
Excellent. Well, have somebody take some photos and let's share those.
oh, it's gonna be ridiculous, dude.
So 2 weeks from this Saturday.
Yep. So, uh, I want it to be a real regal old style affair, so we've got a Lord of the Rings theme, and I bought a fucking $1,500 custom made armor that I'm gonna be wearing, like a sword, like fucking badass, dude.
That's awesome. My
This
son
is
will
I'll
approve
show you pictures,
wholeheartedly.
but and everybody has to show up like it. Like, I
Right.
want it to be like they all kiss my ring and,
Right.
food's gonna be there. I'll have my chalice and, uh, to be honest, I don't care how it turned out. Like, I'd marry her in the woods with a bunch of squirrels, and that would be that.
Well,
You know
that's
what I
good.
mean? Like, I don't care. Um, but we wanted to make it fun, something that, we would remember, not just go through the motions in the church. Like, obviously, growing up, I wanted to get married in a Catholic church, and you
Yeah.
have these ideas of it. But uh, my brother's going to be doing the officiating. Like,
That's great.
yeah, and it's a family affair, so everybody's
What's
got
he
a part.
wearing?
What's that?
What's he wearing?
I don't know. I don't know what, like, I don't know if you have seen the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm sure you've read the book or seen it, but you might not be in that level of geekdom.
I am not, but my son is, and so I've seen some of them being a cinephile.
Yeah,
And that's those are Peter Jackson productions, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I appreciate him quite a bit.
So I don't know who's gonna dress up as what. I know my dad's gonna be Gandalf the Grey, and my brother's gonna be Gandalf the White, who's doing the officiating. We're gonna have like elves and dwarves, whatever, people in armor. It could be as simple as a cape. I don't really care because other than my bride, nobody's beating what I'm wearing. Like, I'm fucking done up head to toe, looking like I'm ready to go into battle. Like, my sword, I could pull it out
I
actually.
I gotta interrupt. Hang on one second, I gotta interrupt. The Washington Post is not endorsing a candidate either.
What?
Just broke.
Wow.
Just
Hmm.
broke. And it put in the caveat, or endorse any future White House candidates. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Anyway, let's see, uh-oh. Don, our boy there is one serious hombre.
That's not what I usually refer to when I mean. Well, that's not usually what I mean when I say I'm pulling out my sword. But
hey,
each his own.
their own. Yeah, I got it all. Like, there's gonna be. I've been cutting wood, like chopping down trees. Oh, timber.
With
Uh,
your sword.
yeah, and there's gonna be hatchet throwing and archery, and
Wow.
it's it's
Excellent.
it's gonna be done up properly. We'll put it like that.
Well,
So
we wanna see video. We wanna see
Oh yeah.
film on
Yeah.
this, Uncle Rico.
there will be plenty, even though they didn't have cameras in there. I'm making an exception. Like, I want, you know, we got custom wood, everything. So, like, the bowls, the plates, the silverware, all, wood. A lot of good, fine decorations. Like, the lady did a really great job, and so did
Mhm.
my mom. But if it was up to me, I'd have a big cauldron of stew and just make people dip sourdough bread in there. You know, that would be up to me. But we're gonna have a few other accoutrements.
There
If
we
you will.
go.
Yeah, think of Game of Thrones.
Between
Like we got
etiquette and the
maybe
health,
what's
between
that?
etiquette and the health department, you couldn't do the whole thing of stew. It's not gonna happen. You
Yeah.
know?
So it's gonna be a blast. Think of like, you go to a pub or a tavern and they give you the wood plate and it's got like a chunk of cheese and some grapes and bread. Like that's what I wanted to do because I don't give a shit about my guests. They're there to celebrate me and her in the other room. That's it. But
Right.
that would be rude. They're all there to
Can we
celebrate
see the
love.
little woman? Do you wanna ask her to come in for a second? Just,
She is
we can
actually not
congratulate her?
here right now, or else I would
She's
have
what?
her on. She's not here at the moment.
Okay. So
Or
November 9th is the date.
yes,
Alright.
the date is November 2nd. So next
Oh, excuse
Saturday.
me.
Oh,
Next Saturday, not 2 weeks. Okay, so before the
1 week.
election.
Yeah,
Alright.
1 weekend. So 8 days.
Yeah. Alright, well, great.
Yep.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, we're stoked. We can't wait.
Yeah.
Um, so I know we spent a little time on this, but I've gotta ask you 2 things. Ran across a interesting 3-episode Netflix, miniseries on the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees from 20 years ago. Have you watched it yet?
I have seen it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I'm just gotten into the first 45 minutes of the 3 episodes. Um, Talk to me a little bit about the what seems to be mega laser-like accuracy of Pedro Martinez as a
I
pitcher.
mean,
Holy shit! The guy put it
Pedro's
between the guy's helmet and his bat,
yeah.
okay, and then he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna hit him on the front of his wrist and fuck him up." Um, would you kind of alliterate the 2 of you on how goddamn accurate was he, and is he the Tom Brady of that kind of accuracy, or are there people that are better in the 20 years hence or even prior to that? I've
Yeah.
not ever seen that.
Greg Maddux is the Tom Brady
Okay,
of accuracy.
probably, yeah.
But I'll let Don
I Yeah, I was
lead
just gonna say
off.
real quick, Pedro Martinez started out, of course, in the Dodger organization,
Mhm.
along with his brother Ramon, who was a great pitcher in his own right. For
Ramon.
some for some crazy reason in 1993, I think it was, the Dodgers decided, well, this it's younger brother, he's small, he's not really gonna be all that durable, so we're gonna trade him to the Montreal Expos. And again, I'm traumatized, so I can remember it like it was yesterday. We're going to trade Pedro Martinez to the Montreal Expos for Delino DeShields. The worst trade in baseball history, maybe
Who?
since. That's my
Delano
point.
DeShields. He used to be a name, but he was past his
Yeah, for
prime.
like
Is that like
2
Joe
minutes.
Biden picking Kamala Harris and that kind of thing? Is that how bad it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
almost as bad.
There.
Oh, I won't go
Not as
that
bad.
far. Not as bad, but yeah, great pitcher. I mean, I loved him when he was with the Red Sox, and he was extreme. He was competitive. That's what
Mhm.
small in stature. But man, this dude every time he took the bump,
Excuse me.
was ready to battle. Yeah, he was going to give you everything he had, and you saw the results. So yeah, I love the guy.
Yeah. Pedro was he was a different kind of cat. I don't know if you I don't know if they introduced his good luck midget that he had.
I I haven't seen it yet in that first
Hola,
episode.
gringo. Yeah,
That's too funny. But
he
I
had
mean, he went like
really
this, right?
Mhm.
During one of the games, he goes, "Remember," he goes, "Nobody messes with my players,"
yeah.
right?
He's a dude.
So did that cause the Yankees players during that series of games to back off? Or did they go, "Yeah, fuck you, we're the Yankees, you're nothing."
They went, "Fuck you, we're the Yankees, you're nothing." Because you gotta remember the time, okay?
Mhm.
Curse of the Bambino,
Mhm.
Boston Red Sox,
Yep.
I mean, it's the Mets got to win a World Series thanks to the oopsie daisy at first base. Um, they were cursed. They were known for being cursed, and
86 years.
in
Yeah.
this and
Yeah.
in the series before, and I'll never forget where I was. I was working in a pizza kitchen, game 7 of the 2003 ALCS, and Pedro was pitching, and who was it? I think it was, Grady Little, I think was the skipper at that time.
Oh God. Yeah, another former Dodger manager too, but I'm still traumatized by that too. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
He
Sorry.
decides to pull a Pedro early
Yep. Yep.
in the 8th, and long story short, the game goes to extra innings. It's in New York, and I'm like, "This place is haunted. They need to get out of there before the clock strikes 12. If it
Mhm.
strikes 12, they're done." And I'll never forget, they announce it. I'm listening to it on the radio. Clock strikes 12. Aaron Boone comes up to bat. Yardstick, game over. To the World Series they go.
Yeah, I saw the clips of that in this first episode. I was like, "Wow, these guys got really screwed." But I was just incredibly impressed with the athleticism of being able to precision throw a ball at 95 miles an hour between a space about that big,
Yeah, I mean,
okay, and hit exactly what you were fucking aiming at anytime you wanted to. I was like, "Wow, that's
well, pitchers
amazing."
were different back then because you had to have accuracy. Like, accuracy was the name of the game. There wasn't power pitchers like there are today. If you could hit 99, you were in the top 0.001% of pitchers. Nowadays, every pitcher is hitting 99.
Yeah.
You know, they're all just throwing as hard as they can, and that's why we see so many home runs. That's why we see
Mhm.
higher numbers. You don't have the mechanics, the professors like Greg Maddux, who
Mhm.
never threw 90 miles an hour,
No.
but placed all of his pitches. Like, imagine being a Cy Young winner. The
Mhm.
guy won 16 straight gold gloves at pitcher, and he could locate pitches wherever he wanted, and that was the name of the game. Kurt Schilling, he was another one,
Yeah,
split.
well, it's Bjorn Borg versus John Isner, at 137 miles an hour. I mean, Borg is just finesse, in tennis shoes, right?
Yeah, and
With a wooden Donné racket and
Right.
real catgut strings, so, I mean, forget about it, right? Uh,
you
and
also
then
talked
David
about the
Ortiz.
before you go there, you also talked about Pedro plunking guys and brushing them off. Like, that used to be what made baseball. There were these unwritten rules
Yep.
that we used to allow flying. Now everybody's so fucking sensitive that they toss people if they do brushbacks. Like, brushbacks were a part of the game. If you're like, I remember when I played, I
Mhm.
used to crowd the plate. Oh, I would
Mhm.
piss off pitchers because I would crowd it so tight. And since I wasn't a tall man by any stretch of the mean, my strike zone was like the size of a ring box, and it would just frustrate pitchers so much. So I would get brushbacks, and I knew it was part of the game. You know, you clear the benches, one plunk for another plunk. Like, there were
Mm.
repercussions if you did something that the other team, like, they would remember from like months before. Like, if this guy plunked one of the players, the next time they play, even if it was 3 months later, first guy plunk him. And that would come straight from the top. The manager would be like, "You better fucking throw it at him and you hit him square in his back, or I swear to God I'm trading you." Like that,
Right?
deadly serious.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, it's very compelling and it's fun to watch, so.
Yeah, they have a cast of characters. Big Poppy, that's when he was born.
Yeah,
I mean,
David
you talk about
Ortiz.
the
Yeah.
most clutch playoff hitter of all time.
What is he, about 6'6"?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
big cat.
Hmm.
I
He's
mean,
like
the guy hits the ball from the ground up, okay? It's
his
unbelievable the height and elliptical that he gets on his balls to go, up and, into a, home run. It's unbelievable.
he was like the Barry Bonds of playoffs.
Mhm.
So Barry Bonds,
But
for all
without
the
the
shit
steroids.
people gave him for I don't give a shit about steroids because Barry Bonds was a 40-40 player when he was like 21 years old. Okay,
Right.
40 home runs, 40 steals. That is elite.
That's
That is
unbelievable.
another level of
Yeah.
elite. Like Shohei just went 50-50. That's
Well, I'm gonna
fucking
get there. I
great.
wanna ask you about, LA and New York in a second.
But Barry had such good hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Hmm.
you could take all the steroids in the world, and you're not going to be able to do what Barry Bonds did if you don't have that hand-eye coordination. Like, that's hitting 101. You've gotta get the frame of the bat, the meat of the bat, the sweet spot, exactly where the ball is, and he tracked it, and Big Papi Ortiz did that in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was pretty impressive. So, when I look at LA and New York playing each other, the Yankees, in this case, and I can't help but juxtapose that, to Kamala and our Big Papi, my Big Papi, DJT behind me. And so that'll be fun. I'm sure the memes will be flying over that one. Compare briefly, you guys, the game today versus the game we were just talking about 20 years ago, and what are the players like? What how has the game changed disproportionately? I mean, are we just talking about, you know, gigantor millionaires like in football and basketball that don't play the game the same way? Or is it also the training, the fitness, etc., so that the game has gone up to another level and it's just as fun but in a different way?
Yeah, I think the game is to me over the span of my lifetime, it's still the same game. You see things that are subtly different, but I will say, and the one thing I always look for when I'm watching any athletic contest or whatever, it's the competition. I think the
Mhm,
players are as competitive now as they've always been. The one thing I don't like, and it's like get off my lawn type of thing, I don't like the fraternization. I just don't. If you got on another uniform than my team, I'm not gonna hate you. I'm sure I'm not gonna put my arms around you. I see guys going
mhm,
to first base now most games, and they're chatting it up. It's like, why do you do that? I mean, I get it. It's not as cut and dry as it used to be. But I'm a Dodger fan, so we had this long-standing rivalry with the Giants. And back then, when I was a kid, you didn't have games on or every game available every night of the week during the season.
right. Yeah,
As
it
a
was
Dodger fan,
radio.
you did get 9 games a year on TV, and there was a three game series up in San Francisco. And I'm telling you, I don't think I ever missed a game. I don't care what it was going, and they were always on the weekend, so it was great. The Friday night games, Saturday and Sunday afternoon games, and it was great. It would make my whole week. If the Dodgers went up and beat the Giants, I felt great. If they lost, I was just down for the entire week. But the big difference to me, it is the money. There's no question. Players are rested or they show up on the IL or whatever a lot sooner uh, because they have to. They look at their earning potential, and the team looks at how much money they invested,
Yep.
so they don't run them out that much. Case in point, 19, I think it was 1967, 68. Giants Cardinals game. Juan Marichal pitching for the
Mhm,
Giants and Bob Gibson pitching for the Cardinals.
mhm. Yep.
It was a 10-inning game, and I'm going to get some of the facts wrong, but it was a 10-inning game, and if I'm not mistaken, they both went the full 10. I think Marshall threw like 186 pitches, and Gibson threw like 190, and it ended up being like a 2-1 game. I mean, you don't get guys when guys get it's like 90 pitches now. They're already looking to the bullpen. Yeah, and when you have to throw as hard as they're throwing now, small surprise, you're seeing more and more injuries. It's just
More
the
injuries.
nature of the way things
Yeah.
are developed. Nowadays, they're playing in the World Series tonight. And you've seen everything in the playoffs. Pitcher is considered to be great if he can go 5 innings. I mean, it's like, and I get it. Who's it? Fernando Valenzuela passed away
Effing
this week.
pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the word you're looking for. Pathetic. It is not the same game. It is a different game altogether because it is a business.
yeah,
You don't see small ball anymore. Okay?
yeah. You don't.
Everybody's swinging for the fences. You don't have those Ichiros or those Ted Williams that could hit the ball anywhere in
Yep.
the park to move runners. You
Yep.
don't see base stealing with hit and runs
Right.
as
Yep.
often as you used to. You don't see suicide squeezes. Like there's
Nope.
still strategy of the game that is similar, but you're not going to see a Rod Beck living in his camper outside of the park, bringing in the rookies just called up from AAA to get them sauced up and teach them about the league. Okay, a giant redneck hippie who just eats, breathes, lives the game. Like he lived in a fucking camper trailer outside of the stadium. Like talk about a dude. And you're
That's
not going
awesome.
to have dudes like that anymore because you're right. It is a business and they get their time off, their rest days.
Mhm.
And you won't see a pitcher throw a complete game.
Nope.
I mean, hell, the Dodgers have a game where
Right.
all they do is throw bullpen pitchers.
Yep. Yep.
That's all they do is throw everybody in their bullpen and just replace a starter. Like, come on. Really? I mean, it's a strategy, and I respect winning more than anything. So, if it works, it works, but you're not going to see a lot of bowls go the full 9. You're not going to
No.
see the
No.
John Smoltzes or the Tom Glavines
Nope.
or the Roger Clemens. Hell, you're not even going to see the Nolan Ryans.
Hmm.
Oh, well, I mean, he's in a class
Right.
by himself as far as I'm concerned. I mean, baseball, just to sum up here, baseball for me as a kid in the 60s, that was my first love, right? And then I started to get a little size and I knew I could run. And so then I went to football and then track and field and then tennis in the off season, came back to track and field, it's et cetera, right? I mean, everybody from Boog Powell, Mickey Mantle, all the cats that as a little Grom, Don, you and I grew up with, and then Rico, really all the way through the Steve Garveys and um, the players through the 90s. I just sat there and just continued to golf clap the shit out of how just raw athletic these guys were without massive um, overtraining. But I don't think I've ever seen Tom Brady leave in the third inning. Nice. Rico's like, fuck you.
Dodgers, give me a break.
Give me some
This
red
is
paint.
and you've heard me talk about this before, and I will put it on my gravestone.
But I'm a Dodgers fan
90s
too, so you're gonna have to hate me for this one.
90s was the greatest decade of all time, and
Mhm.
here's why.
Pretty damn good.
You could talk about the economics, the political,
Yeah.
blah, 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 but the bottom line is entertainment was at its best. It
Mhm.
was an exciting time, and sports specifically was ushering in that business era, but it
Mm.
still had that old style grit. like
Great.
basketball,
Yeah.
for instance.
Right.
Basketball was knuckles, brutal,
Yeah.
and they still had those battles in the 90s. And as we got into the 2000s, it started happening less and
Yeah.
less and less. Baseball was the same way.
Yeah. It became
Football was the
corporate.
same way. It was a rough sport, and
Mhm.
that was that gladiator barbarian shit that we love to watch. Now everything's about head trauma and CTEs and this, that, and the other, protecting your asset. And I'm cool with protecting people's livelihoods and protecting their health outside of sports, but you know what you're going into. Like,
Well, I mean, look
you're
at
not getting paid
Caitlin Clark.
millions of dollars to be soft.
Right.
Like, this is a hard game,
Right.
and there's risk involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
You
there's
ever,
plenty
eh,
of jobs where men die.
raise your hand if you remember hitting a parquet floor really hard in gym and it hurt like you know what. Right? Yeah. Yeah, you figured out real quick how you wanted to stay vertical and not horizontal. But yeah, I mean, ever since and it was interesting because in that Netflix thing, they're talking to Billy Bean and the whole Moneyball thing,
Right.
happening 20-ish years ago. 2020, '02, 99 to '02, is when that started to emerge. Which, I give him props for looking at data and analytics that way, and the new owner of the Red Sox for ushering that in. So, golf clap there. But
Yeah, they
that,
tried to buy Billy.
yeah, they did. They did. And he was like, I have a kid. She's 12. I'll never see her. So the answer is no. So take, Josh or whatever his name is, the year old
Josh,
Theo.
who they did get was my boy, Theo Epstein.
Theo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Theo because
Now
he
Okay.
was
was the mastermind behind the Cubs winning.
Yep.
okay. Was he the character alongside Billy Bean in the movie Moneyball?
No,
Alongside Brad Pitt. So this is a different guy. Okay.
Right.
So it wasn't a
he does
behind
not
the
look like Jonah
behind the
Hill. No.
walls idea here. So again, I get it. Like Caitlin Clark, right? Number 4 athlete on the planet. So they're gonna definitely protect that asset, whether she goes to the 3-on-3 league or, stays where she is, and, somebody today, I think it was Shaq, has got a, money proposition behind getting the NBA to give the WNBA more money or some hootenanny, so we'll see how that plays out. Anyway, thank you for indulging me in that regard because, baseball is, I mean, two of my favorite baseball movies, Eight Men Out, a beautiful John Sayles movie,
Mhm.
and a great Barry Levinson film, The Natural. I mean, I cannot watch either one of those without crying because
Can I,
baseball is just such a beautiful part of the American fabric.
can tell this one quick baseball story.
Please.
One and only World Series game I ever got to see in person. I am 10 years old, and the Dodgers are playing the Yankees.
Mhm.
And it is sometime in October 1963. And my dad had just started working at Dodger Stadium the year before. So people are hitting him up like, "Can you give me a ticket? Can you give me?" And of course, he had no connection to anything like. So he's telling people politely, "No, you can't, whatever." And so it's Sunday, and the Dodgers had already won three straight games against the Yankees. So the fourth game at Dodger Stadium, I'm in church because back then we were in church all day. So my mom, who comes to the 11 o'clock service, says, "Your dad wants to see you." I'm thinking I'm in trouble. So I get home and I'm walking real slow because I think I'm in trouble. I get home, I'm still wearing my suit. My dad says, "We're going to go." I'm thinking, "Well, you're going to work." He said, "No, we're going to go." So I get in the car. I don't say anything because I'm just going to roll with it. So he's going to work. I'm going to the game. He finds a way to get me into a seat in like the blue section, right along third base. And I'm sitting there. And back in the day, everybody was well dressed to the baseball game. So it's a Sunday on top of it. So they're all wearing suits and ties, and the ladies are wearing dresses, and
Mhm.
they're bunting, flags and bunting all over the stadium. It's like old school. Perfect day. Dodgers win 2-1. Sandy Koufax, my all-time hero,
Nice.
obviously. wins the game on giving up, I think, like 2 hits or something like that. Mickey Mantle hits a home run. I mean, it was a perfect day. On top of it all, on the way home, on the way out, my dad worked near one of the concession stands, and the concessionaire gives me a box of like 36 Dodger dogs and buns. I mean, it was a perfect. The Dodgers went in a sweep. Koufax wins. I got these hot dogs. For a kid, it never gets any better than that.
That's
Never
outstanding.
did.
Yeah, I've been to I mean, I'll tell you just a real quick one here. I've been to Chavez Ravine a lot. We moved to Anaheim from Detroit, uh, the, um, the year before. We were there in '63. The a year and a half before Angel Stadium was built. I lived across the street from Disneyland, and
Mm.
I mean, like, 1,000 yards. Right? And the Disneyland Hotel was right there. So Angel Stadium was right down the street on Catella, right?
Yep.
So we were there all the time, or in Chavez Ravine in LA. It was that was a magical time, which Rick, to your point, that time really lasted up from
Up
the
to,
60s
right.
through that point in this documentary in
Mm.
the early 2000s, because it really wasn't until about the '05 to 2010-ish period where the game just went "Er," and
Mm.
was all about dinero and maximizing profit, etcetera, which I get it. I'm a businessman. I understand it, but the grit is definitely gone in the game from and that's basketball, football, baseball, etcetera. You know,
Hockey. I
hockey,
mean,
yeah.
you wanna get an idea, an accurate representation of what baseball used to be. The all-time greatest baseball movie, Major League.
Major League, I forgot it, and Sandlot. So I forgot
Sandlot's
Yep.
both of those.
really
I apologize to baseball. Those 4 are just insane. Absolutely incredible.
great
So, yeah.
representation, so
Yeah. No, they're fantastic. Okay, just in case anybody didn't notice, it is October, right? But
mm,
it's October 1943 again,
mm,
because we've got Adolf Hitler running, according to my friends
mm,
on the Democrat side of the aisle, that are
mm.
losing worse than they could have ever imagined. And if you wanna understand the guttural scream that's coming out of Democrats everywhere across the country, just imagine in your just pull from your memory, Strother Martin, one of the best character actors ever to grace the silver screen, running into the, locker room in the movie, uh,
Teen Wolf?
what's that?
Teen Wolf?
No,
No.
not even Teen Wolf. In, what's the hockey movie with Paul Newman that I
Oh,
always talk about?
Not Goons,
No, god
um,
darn it, Mark, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Slapstick,
Slap
there you
Slapshot.
go.
Slap
Slapshot.
shot, and he runs in
Hey,
okay, I ruined it, but fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. He runs in, he goes, "We're losing," right? He runs in there with his little gray suit on and his white socks and his black Buster Browns, and he's screaming at these guys. Well, that's what the Democrats are doing all over the damn country right now, and everywhere on the news, okay? So this whole Hitler fascist crap goes all the way back to Barry Goldwater to Donald Trump and every, elected official that became president ever since, right? They even threw in Paul Ryan in the little Fox News thing that they used kind of to make fun of it because nobody's buying it. And you guys, last night, I watched my buddy Kevin McCarthy talk about how we've already got the Senate. I mean, hell, I told you that 2 weeks ago when I did my report, right? Wall Street Journal went and wrote about it today exactly like that. So, little back pat here for me and a little, read the room golf clap here on the No Filter Network.
The No Filter Network.
Thank you very much. And so, he feels like Trump has it. I obviously feel the same way. He said some candidates in the House are running behind the president, which isn't good because they're not working hard enough. So he's outpacing them, which is one of two things. He'll drag them along because in the 15 or 16 Joe Biden seats that we have, where Trump was 10, 15 points behind in 2020, he's even or ahead now, right? So good metrics to look at. And so I was kind of like, And then I did some math on some of these seats, etc., and I'm like, I'm not gonna predict it right now, but it is not gonna surprise me if he gets to 313 or more
Hmm.
and wins
Yeah.
the popular vote. It's
Hmm.
not gonna surprise me, and that is a resounding no thank you to what is being offered as an alternative to what Americans want and already know that Trump can deliver. So, underperforming House members or whatever, um, we could be even deeper into it with even more unexpected victories in 11 days. So we'll see. We'll see. But the whole springtime for Hitler in Germany, he's a fascist crap is happening again because they're losing and people aren't buying what they're selling.
Mhm. Well, presidents are the gold standard of the party. Okay. What I mean by that is they're the visual face. They are what you see and what most Americans attribute as the rest of the party.
Yeah.
When you have Kamala representing your party, now some Democrats still think it's Obama, but let's be honest, right now it's Kamala. The trickle down on that is you can only be less than her. She is the face. But you're seeing candidates try to distance themselves on that side,
Mhm.
campaign with Trump in their ads because she is that bad. She is so unlikable,
We're up to 4
so
now.
dumb. Like, did you see that CNN town hall?
Oh my god.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna get to that, and I gotta do, I told you when I need to get out of here, but I'm gonna do that next. But let's just go right into that. And the reaction afterward was like another 30 car pileup. I mean, she had a one-person debate, Rick, and she lost.
Right.
She
It,
lost.
it's just so beautiful. It's so satisfying to the sickest, darkest parts of me to watch these evil, lying, squirming Democrat mouthpieces in the media have to chew on their own shit. It is so satisfying to
A little
watch
bit.
because they it's a week away or 2 weeks away and
11 days. Yep.
they're throwing their hands up. They're like, "Oh
Mhm.
my god, she can't even do a town hall debate by herself." Like Anderson Cooper was trying to help her out
Oh, yeah.
by interjecting to stop her from talking more. And she, no, no, excuse me, I need to keep going. Like, every time she does that, I can hear another man just going, "Oh my god, she
I
is so
mean, he was
fucking
handing her a thesaurus and a step stool at the same time, and she's like,
Right.
"No, thank you, I'm good. I
yeah,
got it. I'll be unburdened by what has been," and there we go, and there we have it. I
and by
mean,
now, everybody has memorized her talking points.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
everybody knows what she's about to say,
yeah,
and women too are putting their hands over their face like,
mhm.
"God, this is the best we got."
Yeah, and all they keep doing is bringing out celebrities who get paid to memorize text for a living, and what a shocker, she was outshined, except for the septuagenarian from New Jersey, who I was like, "Oh my god, would you put this guy in a leather wheelchair and get him the fuck out of here?" Okay, it was
They're
Bruce
all
Springsteen
like
was
that,
horrible. But I
all of
mean,
them. They
Samuel L.
all
was out there and what's his
Spike
name that
Lee,
plays Medea and whatnot, and was out there, but they're actors for crying out loud,
Right.
and she comes out and again, it's like one hand clapping.
dude, Snakes on a Plane came out like 20 years ago.
On
Nobody
that.
gives a shit about Samuel L. Jackson anymore.
But you know,
Nobody Most of America that's below the age of 30 don't even know who Spike Lee
nope.
is.
No.
They're just like,
No.
"Who's this little black guy with obnoxious glasses
Right.
who keeps saying brother this, brother
He
that?"
keeps going like this.
Yep,
It's like, dude,
they're just
what,
finger
She
wagging.
Gotta Have It was 19 fucking 85.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And Do the Right Thing was 1984,
Mhm.
and, Pulp Fiction just celebrated its 30th anniversary, all right?
And
And
then
34
Springsteen, like
years
you just
ago,
said,
he played
Springsteen looks
oh, he's freezing up. 34 years ago, he played Stax Edwards in Goodfellas and got shot in the
Right.
back of the head, all right?
Yeah, I
So
mean, Democrats are living in the past, and it shows itself in the way that they try to pull off this particular campaign. You know, the funny thing about and I watched that CNN town hall, and I knew what to expect, and she delivered in the way that I thought she would. But my one takeaway was, with all the gesticulations and all the the pre-planned thinking about what she was going to say, she sounded like, we all remember those like Miss America, Miss Universe contests where
mhm.
they asked one of the finalists or whatever to come up and give their view on world peace. You know, and they would always struggle to say something meaningful,
Right.
so people wouldn't think that they're just, whatever. But that's what it reminded me of. It's like
Yeah.
she had no real
Well,
idea of what she needed to say, couldn't really formulate a complete thought, had all of her pre-planned talking points, and was delivering them in a way that was almost creepy.
so when the female voter whose question was given to her in advance because it's CNN, right, said, "Can you specifically tell me what you specifically will do to make my life better?" She just, as David Axelrod said later in the analysis, which was a crack up, went into word salad city,
Yep.
quote unquote. Okay. So,
She is an empty vessel. She is a
Yeah,
puppet who's having her mouth move, regurgitating
yeah.
Democrat talking points. And I found it interesting today that the secret hand, the powers that be that nobody sees but is constantly moving around. I tried to look
Is
for
that Beyonce?
mm, uh, I tried to find the full interview online today.
Mhm.
And all CNN could come up with was the best parts
Right.
in analysis of it. I
Yeah.
couldn't find even somebody
Mm-mm.
posting the full interview because they had it pulled down. And of course,
Elon Musk will have it.
yeah, they tried very hard to take the salvageable clips, I guess, if you could,
They took
but
the incendiary parts out of it.
yeah, essentially, and I was like, That makes sense.
Mhm.
Crooked, crooked, crooked. But once again, by now in those clips, all she did was talk about Trump and Hitler and whoever this John, whatever, what's his name? The guy she keeps quoting from the Atlantic article,
John
Oh,
Kelly.
Jeffrey Goldberg.
John Kelly.
Oh, John Kelly, the former chief of staff, who's a
Yeah.
complete gutless skell.
John Kelly this, John Kelly that. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, she didn't even know who John Kelly was 2 days ago.
No,
She didn't even know
she didn't care.
the words John or Kelly 2 days ago. Now she's using it in a sentence every other word. Where's the joy? Everything is about fascism and Hitler and Hitler and Hitler. And they wonder why the president has assassination attempts on him.
I think
Well,
there's some joy
maybe
in here, but it's in the trash now, right?
like uh, their whole we're not going to provoke, pardon me, crazy people into killing Trump. That
Well,
lasted
that's out the
for
window.
a whole few hours
Yeah,
before they were right back to it. And
yeah.
you knew that was going to happen. And this close to the finish line, when they're that far behind, yeah, it,
So,
it's
so here's what I'm.
it's not only for when the election results come in, but the months after, up until the 21st, and like who Trump's going to have a hit out on him for the next 4.5 years, without a doubt.
We'll see about that. I mean, that's an ongoing, unfortunate part of the process.
I'm not
So
saying he's
here's,
going to get.
yeah, no,
I'm
I
just
understand.
saying that that is going to be in people's minds because the left will never stop talking about it. The beauty is Americans have stopped listening.
Well, they've stopped listening, and we also have plans for people that behave that way after January 20th of next year. So here's what I'm seeing, because this is my business, or at least a good chunk of it. Is he is continuing to accelerate upwards, and she's continuing to decline. There is definitely a separation that, with 11 days left and X number of fake ballots, that can't that can't close the deal. Okay, I'm just telling you. So the New York Times has got a new average out that, yeah, indeed, that just shows him continuing to accelerate, and it's the New York Times, guys. Okay, Trump's in Austin, Texas today to do his pre-tape thing with Joe Rogan, and Kamala Harris is soon to be in Houston, Texas, which is the equivalent of her campaigning, Rick and Don, in Toronto, Canada.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay? I mean, Trump is up 8 points in Texas, which means he's probably up 11. Okay? Ted Cruz is going to come back as a senator, by 4 to 6 points over Colin Allred. Oh my God, what a pathetic sap he is. But yet she's going to do some bullshit star-studded thing allegedly with Beyonce. Again, someone that nobody knows under the age of 30. People are like, who? Right? This 18 to 30 demographic that listens to Joe Rogan, right, is like, "Who the fuck is that?" Just some
And
black chick with a big ass and a wig on? I mean, didn't we just see Lizzo? Hang on,
yeah,
right? And
is
so
she
my
going to
my
come
point
out? Is
is she's pissing away donor money, time, and not and hasn't she already locked down her base? I mean, what am I missing here?
well,
I do this for a living, but what the fuck am I missing? Right?
which Beyonce are we going to get though? Is it going to be country singer Beyonce? Is it going to be
Right.
R&B Beyonce? Is it going to
Country
be
Carter.
activist Beyonce? Is
I
going to
don't
be
know.
ass shaking, rap singing Beyonce? Like, which Beyonce is going to show up? I think it's going to be parts ass shaking Beyonce, mostly activist Beyonce. That would be my safe bet. I don't see her showing up in a cowboy hat, that's for
What
sure.
what does ass
People,
shaking Beyonce look like or sound like rather?
Drunken
I,
Love. I woke up in the morning saying, how the hell did this shit happen? Oh, baby. Drunken love. We've been all night. Sorry. Where she's rolling around on some sand in a bikini.
No, thank you.
yeah, I'm
I'll
insulted
take a
personally.
crack at Beyonce. You know I've got that bug, but whatever. Do I want
I'm
to listen
insulted.
to her to vote?
No,
No. Don, what were you going to say?
no, I was just gonna say I'm insulted that Kamala Harris and Beyonce would come to Houston and desecrate the ancestral home of one of the greatest R&B groups ever, and that would be Archie Bell and the Drells. So I'm already offended at that. But
Mhm.
first of all, look, nobody cares. I mean, look, the fact, the sure sign that the Democrats are even beyond panic now is they're having their bimbo eruptions. Now all of a sudden,
Yeah,
CNN's found this one-time swimsuit model who claims that Donald Trump groped her 30 years ago. Like,
yeah,
when are you people going to learn that that no longer works? You tried it with Kavanaugh. You tried it multiple times with Trump. It don't work. Come up with something fresh, But they're trotting it out, and they're doing the whole 9 yards with it, and nobody, and they're even saying themselves that, oh well, I guess nobody really, but they say, well, Trump's so misogynist. Whether people gotten used to that, that it doesn't matter anymore. Well, okay, it doesn't work. Try something of substance that you can make your case on instead of trying out these tired women who can claim to have done something 30 years ago.
Yep. I mean, some women are going to latch on to that, no doubt, because they want to always give women the benefit of the doubt, and they will give full-throated support without any evidence other than what MSNBC or uh, what are some Jezebel magazine says. But the reality is Americans are done listening to that right now. Like,
they're
we
done.
don't care. It's election time.
Yeah,
Nobody gives a shit. Donald Trump could grope a woman on camera right now, and
right.
it's not going to change shit.
No,
Like,
He could,
people
he
are
could
like,
grow up a woman on Fifth Avenue.
whatever. Uh, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah,
know what excuse people would make, but they would make that excuse
they
because
would.
Kamala is that bad. When you
It's
listen to her talk,
it's so bad, you
is
guys.
nauseating, like
Yeah.
nauseating. I don't know how any human alive could listen to her and be like, "Man, I want to back that horse." She's brilliant.
Well, so here's the problem, and you saw me put this meme up a little few hours ago, which is, I raised $1 billion. Can you name three things I stand for? Right? Nobody can.
Mm.
Nobody can. Right?
That's
So
fucking
the doors
great.
are closing, and the light is
You
getting
want me to talk about policy?
is getting dim. Right. And so, to that end, she keeps coming up with these incredible witticisms, which this was one that was extracted from the CNN town hall with Gloria Vanderbilt's little boy on stage with her. And I'm sorry, Don, I can't even. He's not a journalist. Okay,
No.
the guy's a homosexual who grew up with a bunch of silver spoons in his mouth along with something else, and that's all he is to me. Okay, he is not. Anderson Cooper is about as credible as Hillary Clinton. Okay, sorry, actually even worse. Okay, just
Worse?
yeah, he's worse. He's below the Geraldo Rivera standard of alleged journalism. Okay, so anyway, I mean, you have to do something with your time while you're growing up in a penthouse on Park Avenue,
Right.
chasing uh, uh, boys around prep school and or the soon to be closed Studio 54, which I cannot believe he was brought there as a child, which just absolutely
Right.
blows me away. Explains
Hmm.
a lot. I'll get off on that rant some other day. But kicking the tires. I'm still kicking the tires, she said.
Yep, there's
Meaning,
a
I
lot
haven't
of
fully
Democrats.
formulated what I'm gonna say to you guys, and so I'm still figuring it out, and I'm like, "Lady, it's" this was yesterday, obviously, 12 days before an election. The strengths aren't there except the mistakes, and I'm like
Yeah, she must have had a
like that.
Freudian slip where, like, the image of her voting base popped into her head, and you just saw a bunch of angry purple-haired libs kicking their flat tires.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I could think of with
I
kicking tires
I
because,
can't explain it, other
like,
than incompetence. I just
she's
can't
ready
explain
she's just starting? Is that what she
it.
was
Right.
at?
Right.
Like,
What is this,
she's just
January?
starting the campaign,
Yeah,
12 days left?
yeah.
Like, this woman is the worst candidate in the history of candidates, and we all knew this. Everybody knew this, and I'm so glad that we talked about how we would have to get so many votes that they couldn't steal it,
Well, I think
Oh,
we're headed in that direction.
and I
Quite
I
frankly,
hope
the
you are
awareness
right,
the
'cause it's gonna
awareness
be a
of
shit show
early
after.
yeah, the awareness of early voting, you guys, and again, I'm doing this all around the country, um, is astounding.
Mhm.
The sheer numbers that are coming in just between, like, North Carolina and Georgia is 8,000,000 people.
I love it.
4,000,000 each
yeah.
have already early voted. So the whole theme in the last 2 years, and really 2023 and now 2024, this latter part of it is vote early, vote often, and w we Republicans, I did it a long time ago, but we Republicans have embraced early voting, and it's like, "Bravo, Brando. Thanks
Mm,
for coming into the 21st century, especially this part of it," right? And
yep.
there's more to come in that regard because the more that happens, it will change the trajectory of, outcomes in elections, when you should bank your vote, how early, the science, or scratch that, the art of doing that in a campaign will definitely improve, and so I think that that will help us a great deal, not only in the kind of candidate that we recruit, but how they understand what they need to do and how they need to talk to their voters, at a grassroots level, consistently, as well as the party at the state level and the county level, and certainly at the national level, so they've figured that out.
So, I have a question for Don, okay?
Hmm.
Don, my man, alright? There's what I can't wait for is the civil unrest that we're gonna see after it happens and how the diaper babies try to emulate Jan 6th in their own way. I'm going to have yogurt raisins just popping like this. So what is your preferred snack gonna be when you watch the meltdowns of a
Oh,
million
oh no. Yeah.
more?
My preferred snack is Jameson's. Full bottles of Jameson. I'm not gonna hold back
Bravo.
on this one. 2016 was great. This will be epic. I want to
Epic.
enjoy it in its full, form of pleasure. So I'm not having any, snacks are great, you know, I, but I'm just drinking. I'll be drinking for weeks.
Excellent.
Wow. Well, I wasn't expecting that, but kudos to you. Mark? What will be your snack of choice come fall out?
Well, I've already planned, dinner for, election night, and our couple of our neighbors are coming over, and so I said, because they know I'll put out the spread, and I was like, "What do you guys want?" And the resounding, response was tacos.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do up some tacos and do them nice and make them pretty and tasty and all that kinda stuff, but,
Are you
my
inviting
first
Jill Biden
snack.
over to cook?
What's that?
Are you inviting Jill Biden over to cook?
No,
Oh,
no.
that's a shame. I hear she's a taco lover.
I am, yeah, especially when there's a Hispanico in the room, right? Or a breakfast burrito, right? That's so ridiculous. But, we will be having tacos and the appropriate beverage or 2 for margaritas to, uh, cerveza.
Pistachios with lime,
Mhm. Little bit, little
like
bit.
it. Well, that sounds like a
But
pretty
I'll
good.
be popping cashews, though. I mean, I've got I get the Costco bag and, so those are my preferred, throughout the day,
Okay,
that kind of
cashews.
thing, depending on the time of the day and if I've worked out and all that stuff, but it's gonna be fun. So, I mean, ultimately, Trump is leading. We know that. We know that,
Just to be clear, the snacks are bar drink and bar food.
yes,
Okay.
Love it.
yes,
American.
absolutely.
I mean, that just says everything you need to know. Like, people are going in to celebrate
Yes.
because they're signaling it, man. Like, the media is signaling.
Unbelievable. They are, aren't they? They
Mhm.
are. Yeah, it's interesting because, again, the New York Times in their poll today and their commentary, it's like, "She doesn't have it. Girl don't have it." Right? And it's unbelievable how they have to admit something they failed so miserably at, which is and this is, I think, an argument that you're gonna hear a lot, whether it matters or not, who knows, is maybe we should have stuck with Joe,
Hmm.
right?
Yep. You know what though? The Democrats do have one more card to play.
What's that?
They have
Oh, the one on
one more card.
Tuesday at the Ellipse where they're gonna, reproduce, January 6th.
I'm going to show you if I can exactly what that's going to look like.
Oh god.
Here we go.
That's it.
Yep. Well, that's calculated. That's in the calculus for sure.
What was that?
A trunk full of ballots.
A trunk full of ballots? Can you put that back up, Don?
Yeah, real quick. Let me do that real quick. Let's see there.
'Cause I don't have any frame of reference for that. Minnesota Secretary of State, Hennepin County reportedly fires driver, grapples with election security questions after open trunk full of ballots was found unattended in
Adina.
Hmm.
Edina.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
Yep.
they found some ballots, taken out of a mailbox, somewhere in a storm drain, and the only way that you could get those ballots was with a master key, so someone in the United States Postal Service that will be fired, is, going to be, without a job. Yeah.
so what
So it's starting to happen.
so they were trying to withhold
Mhm.
ballots. In what district are we talking? Do we know if they're majority red, majority blue?
Adina, Minnesota, I wanna say that's a Republican. Hang on
I'm
one second, I can
thinking,
say
I
that
mean, I
really
don't
easily.
want to speculate, just because it's Minnesota that it's obviously
oh,
a
blue. Yeah.
Democrat doing that, but, I'd rather see if we can't get some numbers on Adina first.
That could be the district. That's, the 3rd congressional district, and It's in the burbs.
And I mean, that could be a specific neighborhood.
I want to say that's Dean, what's his name's district, because it's part of Hennepin County. Yeah, it's Dean
Mhm.
Phillips. That's what I thought.
Yep.
So
Well,
Republican.
there you
Yes.
go.
No, he's a
There you go.
Democrat.
Well, that's
Yep.
right, because he ran in the for a while at least in the
Presidential.
primaries. Correct.
So
Just saying.
I would look at the neighborhood who's where these ballots were supposed to end up, what neighborhoods specifically, their income level, et cetera, um, to really get a story because obviously somebody wanted to yank some ballots, and I want to know whose side they were doing it for. And I'm sure we'll learn as the time goes on. But for people who don't believe that election fraud is rampant and that we've had clean elections for the last few elections, I hate to break it to you, but no, it's not the case. It's going to be a little tighter of a ship because COVID is not here and they don't have the freedom that they once had to pull shenanigans. That mixed with how bad the candidate is should keep us just ahead.
I have a question for you. Isn't it pronounced freedom?
Freedom. Oh,
Freedom.
that's right. I forgot.
Isn't it pronounced freedom, Mama?
I'm
Anyway,
a little Indian Kamala doing her best Martin Luther King Jr. impression. You
right.
know, and here's another thing. I wish that more outlets, specifically Republican, but I'd love it if all of them did it, started calling her what she identified as when she got into the Senate. The first Indian candidate.
Right.
The first black, she was the first Indian, she wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That
And
ship
if they
sailed
called her
because she's got
Indian,
11 days, and that's
so
it.
here's the thing. You call her Indian, and she says, "That's rude, that's disrespectful, I'm black." And then you say, "What's wrong with being Indian? You racist against Indians?" And you get to play that whole game with them. Obviously, we don't need to worry about that with 12 days left. I'm just thinking out loud at this
I
point.
know. So here's what I want to ask you guys with 11 days out. What's her job after she leaves government service after November 5th? Where's she going? Let's speculate on that for a minute.
Governor of California.
Hmm. Yeah, plausible. I don't think though. I mean, Nixon tried it and that didn't work. So uh, she's going to get some ceremonial post like an ambassador to, I don't know, some African country, something like that. She's never going to be. Well, I should say never going to be. I don't think she has a future in electoral politics. Because she's already been a senator. That door is closed. She's not going to run for the House. I don't think she wants to be an elected politician if she loses here. I don't think she wants to be president now. I think she was foisted into the circumstances and she's doing her best. I don't think she wants this job. I think she's privately thinking, you know what, this could be a little hard. People can actually I'm going to have, in spite of, I'm going to have regular press conferences where they ask me questions and I have to have answers. I don't think she wants that. So she's playing it out, and she'll play the gender card at the end, the race card. Oh, they didn't vote for me because I'm black and I'm a woman, and so that's what she's gonna get out of it. But no, I don't. Again, she'll probably end up on some board, or she'll be like some trustee, like University of California, something like that. Some appointed sort of circumstance. She's not gonna get elected anywhere.
Thank you for that Kamala-like answer there, Don.
I know it was pretty long.
17 different jobs that you might have. I really thank you for narrowing it down.
I'm
So
I'm just looking out for Kamala. I wanted to do something with the rest of her life, for God's sake. She's
that's
so
fine.
young. I mean, she's got what, another 40, 50 years to go.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Mark,
here's my take. Kamala Harris will never be elected to another elected office in public service ever again for the rest of her life. She will lose in 11 days, knock wood. Number one, she'll be rightfully humiliated for the incredibly shitty candidate that she is, the mistake that the Democrats made in jettisoning an old guy 95 days ago who has political instincts, although it's difficult for them to alliterate them because of his cerebral condition. She has Steve Jobs's widow who owns the Atlantic, who's a multi-billionaire, who wrote this bullshit about this young lady that was murdered, a soldier at Fort
Hmm.
Hood, had the temerity to print that in this Hitler hit job horseshit that's going on. So she should die a slow, cancerous, ugly death in hell for doing that. She'll be protected by the likes of Reed Hastings, who's a billionaire,
Yep.
Jobs' widow, whatever the hell her name is, Oprah, a handful of other billionaires, and will either be, if she really wants to be somewhere close to public service, the chairman of the board of regents for the California university system,
Hmm.
right? Meanwhile, sitting on Google, Apple, other boards, raking in gazillions of dollars. Because when was the last time you saw Al Gore? Okay, other than popping out with his giant barrel belly and spouting off some climate bullshit. I haven't seen that guy pop up anywhere meaningful at all or on a meme in over a year. All right. So they burrow away and go underground and make a bunch of money, and that's where she's going to go. She'll go to Coachella and the Aspen Institute and Davos and
Oh yeah.
the Paris fashion show and all that other crap and the Oscars and blah blah blah. That's where I think she's going to go after she writes a book, how I
Oh
didn't do
yeah.
it, how I didn't do it. How or in the subtitle is how I blew $1 billion more than any other candidate in the history of the United States and still lost. Okay, close paren. So it's going to be something like that.
yeah,
It'll be interesting.
I would 1000% bet on her writing a book and doing the tour.
Hmm.
I'm thinking that
The tier tour.
the tier
Right?
tour, and then Gavin runs for the presidency, and California finally gets their head out of their ass and wants a Republican candidate, and the Democrats do what they did this time. They find a fall guy. They find somebody who's clearly going to lose, that they're not going to lose any credibility with. Oops, that didn't really work out well. But they're so stupid they'll try it again and again and again because they just think people are that stupid. Now, we'll see about that
Excuse me.
second part. First part, absolutely. She's writing a book,
Yeah.
and
So
she's
here's the
gonna
other part
pour
that
that
we
book.
didn't mention is the toxicity of Kamala being anywhere near a reelection of a sitting elected official, the open seat of a candidate that wants to win a seat, or the reelect of someone in a moderately safe seat or one that Donald Trump won by 3 or 4 points. Used to be a D+4, now is kind of a D+1 or R+2 seat, but they're up for reelection, in the House, a governor, et cetera, that kind of thing. And so, whoever is going to replace Gavin, um, is she too toxic? We don't know that yet, but most likely the answer is going to be yes, because you got uh, one, two, yeah, you have four sitting United States senators, or excuse me, three sitting United States senators and one open seat in Michigan, Democrat candidate that are running away from her and hugging Trump. I mean, they got their arms wrapped around his waist, no less than his grandchildren, right? And
Yeah,
except they're going, "Grandpa," like that, and these candidates are going, "Save me," right? That's what they're doing.
yeah,
So the toxicity level, we haven't figured that out yet, but I think it's going to be pretty bad.
yeah, I don't see her winning any significant government position, like maybe city councilman of fucking San Francisco. The
Baker
only way
Camp.
she's going to get a seat at the table is if she flips and becomes Republican and become
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
the
we're still
only
gonna go, "No, you go
don't
talk
want
to
her.
Trump,"
Don't want her.
right?
Don't
No.
want
you
her.
don't want her, but you know there's gonna be some idiots out there that'll be like, "Oh, she used to be a Democrat and now she's a Republican, so she must be really smart." That's the only way she's getting a seat at the table, and I doubt she'll do that because
Yeah.
of who she is. She's got some serious optics to clean up, image that I
Well,
don't think she
yeah.
can. Like she failed as a black candidate. She's Indian, and she's dating a white guy. Like her bread and butter base
Who beats women?
just kicked them out. They're
Yeah.
like, we don't want you. Go away.
Do you guys see this?
I see pictures of says, "Oh my God,
Says,
all
"I'll be the victim all your
Tulsi
life," right?
Kamala."
Tulsi and Kamala,
Yep,
right? It's Wednesday. I should put that up on the screen, but I don't, because I'm lazy about that, but I need to do that because that is one of my favorite ones I made, last night. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that is perfect,"
that's
right?
pretty.
It's pretty convincing. Final thoughts. I gotta go solve some interesting problems, Rick, that I told you about,
Mhm.
in Louisiana and, Oklahoma.
So are we rescinding that purchase of Louisiana or something like that, or is it?
No, no, we've got an issue down there that we're advising on, and then one in Oklahoma, and I've got a call with one at 2 and then another one at 2:45, on the other matter, but, it'll be fun. It's been in the news. I'll tell you guys about it offline. It's kind of a they're both actually very cool. But I'll put it this way in my some of my closing thoughts is I'm further optimistic about sweep of the Senate. That's done. Holding the House, I believe we're very, very close to finishing that up. Plus a maybe 3 or 4 seat bon surprise on top of that. And DJT, I think, as I posted a picture of Melania and Trump looking at each other, Mr. and Mrs. 47, yesterday. They're pretty damn close to on their way to making that happen.
Mm, mm. Well, my closing thoughts would be SNL. Kamala has given you comedy gold this last week. Don't stub your toe again and bring back that murderer Alec Baldwin to play Brett Baer. That fell flat on its face.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay, I get that you don't want Trump to be the candidate, but you have an opportunity to be relevant.
Yeah.
Your Ariana Grande hit. She was fantastic.
Mhm.
That girl can act, sing. She's
Mhm.
funny as hell. She hit,
She's good. Yeah.
and she's really good. Um,
And that's all they talked about, by the way. You just saw the Alec Baldwin thing for like a nanosecond. Nobody talked about it.
yeah, because he's irrelevant. Once again,
Yeah.
they brought in somebody irrelevant that nobody knows about, and he did a terrible bear too. It wasn't
yeah.
even funny.
Yeah.
So use the gold that she has given you this week. Roast the bitch alive. Let me just see some funny real funny. Like, take the kitty gloves off.
Right.
Go at both of them. I don't care. Just be fair,
But
okay?
bring back Maya Rudolph and let her go to town.
Right.
Yeah.
Who plays Gloria Vanderbilt's gay little son? Who gets to play that clown from CNN? Is there a
Um,
character there that one of the
I don't know their names. I would imagine the only one that I know of is Mikey Day. Uh, he would be the only one that could fit that sort of slender role.
slender, blonde, bleach blonde hair, tight, overly tight pants? You know,
Yeah,
where
you put the silver hair on him, and you know, you, you put a suit on him, and you let it be.
yeah,
The comedy sketch writes itself. Like, you
true.
can literally just do it verbatim.
Yeah.
Like, just read back the transcripts and it'll be funny enough. It'll be cringe, but it'll be funny.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if they do anything because there's plenty of anti-Trump rhetoric, Heil Hitler and all that crap. But again, that's a sign of desperation. She's not specific. I mean, again, she is campaigning in the equivalent of Toronto, Canada, in Houston, Texas.
No.
Has no shot to win that whatsoever. And what you tell your base is, I don't give a shit about you, right? I don't care about you. So I'm not in Detroit again. I'm not in Georgia again. I'm not in North Carolina. I'm not back in Pennsylvania. And they're like, what the hell is she doing down in Houston? Right?
Go hang
Doesn't
out.
care about my vote. Okay, fine. The hell with you. I'll stay home.
Yeah. I find it funny that Beyonce wouldn't go to her. She's making her come
Oh,
to her.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
adorable. I wanna say this in closing, and then I wanna thank you guys because I do have to jump, and I apologize for that.
Well, hold on. Don didn't get a closing statement.
Alright,
Don.
we're gonna let him do that. There is one factor that none of us are talking about, and I'm just gonna iterate it. 2 words. Can you guess what it is? It's the name of a person.
George Bush.
Don?
hmm. Joe Biden.
Jill Stein,
Oh, that's right.
third party candidate.
Mm.
She's on the ballot everywhere. And she will suck votes away so that in 2020, 49,000 people made a difference between who is and who is not president. So even if it's
Right.
100,000 people this time, let's just assume it is, just for the heck of it, right? Let's just double it, more than double it. Bye, Kamala. See ya. Don, closing statement, brother.
Democrats tend to believe that you can actually get a different result from doing the same thing. In 2016, they tried out Obama. He went to like Michigan, Wisconsin, whatever. And oh, by the way, they tried it out Beyonce, who
Mhm.
wore the speckled pantsuit, I guess, in homage to Hillary Clinton. And how'd that turn out? So they somehow think, okay, we're going to do this again, and this time we're going to win. Well, no, you're not. So I'm never that overconfident because you tend to think these things through and kind of formulate exactly what my head tells me it's going to be close, but my sense of how the way things normally go during an election, I think Trump wins handily in the electoral college, and I'm just like I given California and New York, I don't see him winning the popular vote, but it'll be a lot closer than it was last. If he wins the popular vote and then electoral college. Solid majority. It's over for the Democrats.
It's
I
gonna be
can't
a
wait.
beatdown if it is, you guys. You're gonna see people jumping out of fucking windows or the equivalent of that. Okay? If he wins the popular vote, there will be such a mandate in 2025 that the Democrats will be helping find illegal aliens to put them on secure flights to send them back to their country of origin. That's how bad it'll be. So we'll see. We'll see. You guys are awesome. Rick, from Don and I,
Oh,
man, congratulations, man. That's outstanding. 8 days from now, brother, you're going to be a married man. We love that for you. Welcome to the club.
yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Much
Congratulations.
obliged.
congratulations, Rick. I mean, as they say about marriage, marriage is an institution, and we all need to be committed in order to get into it. So there you go.
There you go.
I can't wait to commit myself.
There you go.
We'll talk very soon, brothers. Appreciate you guys.
All right.
I will.
Later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.